Viewers and subscribers, Merry Christmas and welcome back to Beat in the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, it is the last game week before Christmas, and we have some interesting matchup coming up over the weekend. The two big showpiece game, Aston Villa takes on Man City, and then in the late kickoff on Sunday, league leaders at this point in time, who to tell, will they be leading the league come Sunday? But Liverpool takes on Spurs. Yes, viewers and subscribers, thanks again for joining us. And we're going to dive straight into previewing these two big matches. And of course, talk some EPL football in general. The first one, big match, Aston Villa at home plays host to Man City. Man City, a team on the down currently, a team that can't seem to even buy a win, a team that seem to be unable to keep clean sheets even when they're leading by 3 goals, 2 goals, 1 goals, and a team that seemed to be struggling to score goals as well. Who would have thought the big man Haaland up front really blowing cold at this point in time, and creativity from that midfield, the likes of Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, have really dried up as well. So this is a very interesting game coming up. Aston Villa, of course, at home, they have had an indifferent season as well, up and down, lacking in terms of consistency, lacking in terms of results as well. And they are coming off not so good of a game versus Forest in their last outing. So, I mean, this is a game that both teams will be approaching to win. I'm not even sure which one of these teams need the win the most. I would think that Man City is really desperate for this win, but Aston Villa also need points to keep pace with that top four with those European position. Ollie Watkins off the boil of late. Duran seemed to be the main focal point of this Aston Villa attack at this point in time. And it's hard to tell what we can expect of City. If the trend continues, then it should be another lackluster performance and possibly another L in that column for Pep and his troops. Uh, Aston Villa will give you chances, but can City capitalize? This is a hard game to call, viewers and subscribers. At this point of the season, I didn't imagine to be saying this at this point, but this is a tough one. This is a tough one because of the poor form of Man City and, of course, the indifferent result that Aston Villa have been getting. But viewers and subscribers, I have to trust my gut instincts on this one. It is Christmas. It is the time of gift giving. And I think Man City will give Aston Villa a gift in this one. So for me, Villa Park, Man City, a wounded animal, lacking in serious confidence. I think Aston Villa could not be playing this Man City team at a better time to get a positive result. Emery should be doing his analysis and coming up with a game plan to beat this City team. So for me, viewers and subscribers, this one I am leaning towards Aston Villa. I do believe, though, it will be a closely fought game. But in the end, that lack of confidence, that lack of form, that lack of creativity, I think will take its toll in this Man City 11. And I believe Aston Villa has enough firepower in their ranks. And of course, with the festive atmosphere and the crowd behind them in this fixture, the last kickoff before Christmas, I do believe Aston Villa has what it takes to get a positive result. So for me, in terms of predicted scoreline, I am predicting Aston Villa to get a victory, 2 goals to 1. 2 goals to 1 is my call for this big matchup. This one coming up early on Saturday. Viewers and subscribers, we change focus and we head over to the home of Tottenham. Spurs play host to Liverpool. Chelsea, of course, is neck and neck with this Liverpool team and could overtake them in terms of league leaders earlier in the weekend. Of course, Liverpool has the final kickoff of the weekend. Chelsea would have played their game earlier in on the weekend. They would have had their matchup and we would know the results from that, whether they are the league leaders or Liverpool will be the league leader. Of course, Chelsea will be playing away to Everton, a very stubborn Everton team who got a result versus Arsenal in the last game. So it will be interesting to see how that pan out, and it will be interesting to see if Liverpool can find a response regardless of the result that Chelsea get versus Everton. So things are really boiling down, things are really winding up, and it's very tight up there at the top of the table. But Spurs playing at home to Liverpool, that again should be an interesting game. That is a game that should have loads of goal. It could possibly be a feast for this Liverpool team who has some serious attacking talent. But Spurs cannot be written off. Spurs has the tools that can hurt this Liverpool team. It's just a matter of which Spurs team will we get? Will we get a Spurs team as we got in the Carabao Cup this afternoon, where they barely held on for a victory over Manchester United, of course, after leading them 3 goals to nil. They were pushed to the very brink where Manchester United rallied back, gifted several goals, some poor goalkeeping displays in that one, and it ended 4-3 in favor of Spurs. So will we get that Spurs team with that leaky defense, with poor goalkeeping decision, or will we get a well-oiled, well-polished, well-coached Spurs team who can take the game to Liverpool and possibly get a positive result? Should be an interesting matchup. Should definitely be an interesting matchup. Liverpool, of course, last 2 games have been draws versus Newcastle, and also coming from behind with 10 men versus Fulham in the last outing. So Liverpool needs a win to close off before Christmas. In all honesty, Liverpool needs a win, and the Chelsea result should indicate what sort of result they need. Of course, they should be going out to win regardless of what transpired earlier in on the weekend. But this is a game. If they have, well, they should have title ambitions. It's not a matter of if they have title ambitions. Liverpool should be the favorites to really take the league this year. So, with that being said, they definitely should go out and try to get a win in this game. So, for me, I have no other choice but to back Liverpool to get a win. I do believe Spurs will give them some problems, however. That defensive unity and partnership have not been the same since Kanate picked up his injuries. The Liverpool backline has been leaking goals regardless of who is partnered with Virgil van Dijk. And Liverpool have been dealing with a few injuries, especially in that backline. So it's not as airtight a defense as it was previously, but Liverpool should have enough to get a win in this game. So for me, I'm gonna go back Liverpool with closely fought 3-2 result. I do believe Spurs have enough weapons, the likes of Son, Madison, Johnson, who can definitely hurt this Liverpool backline. So I think it might be a case where Liverpool, if I want of a better analogy, they have to outscore Spurs. So it won't be a defensive display per se. It will be a case of trying to score as many goals as possible and hoping that Spurs do not score as much as them. So I don't believe any of these teams defensively will be approaching this game with any sort of defensive mindset. I think both teams will be looking to attack, attack, attack. And I believe both teams will score. But I just feel Liverpool will have enough firepower or too much firepower to be stopped by the Spurs defense, who are also dealing with some injuries as well in their defensive lineup. So their first choice defensive pairing may not be available. So they themselves, their first choice goalkeeper is not available. And the result versus Man United today would not have done much in terms of generating confidence for Forrester. He made 2 big howlers in that one, which let Manchester United back in the game. So his confidence should be rock bottom. And if this Liverpool team can press this Spurs backline, other errors may pop up as well. So For me, I just think Liverpool will outscore this Spurs team, and I'm calling this one 3 goals to 2 for in favor of Liverpool. But viewers and subscribers, there are some other matches on display over the weekend as well. I'm just going to quickly run through these matches and give you my score prediction for them. So we also have Brentford at home versus Forest. Brentford is a team we've spoken about on several occasions. They are hot and cold. Hot at home, cold, ice cold away from home. So for me, I can't see anything other than a Brentford win. I think that trend will continue. And again, I'm looking at a high scoring game in this one. I think both teams will score against each other, but I think at home, Brentford is hot. They are unfarmed for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a case where the crowd gets behind them, they feel more confident, they feel more comfortable. But whatever the reason is, the results have been coming at home for Brentford. And against a very sound Forest team, I feel they will also get a result. But I do believe both teams will score. So for me, I'm gonna go Brentford 2 goals to 1 versus Forest. We then have Ipswich versus Newcastle. Ipswich at home versus Newcastle. Ipswich team battling in relegation. Newcastle up and down team. You never know what you're getting from week to week. But on paper, I believe Newcastle has the better team on paper. And with the likes of Isaac, and of course the team getting a big win in the Carabao Cup to boost them, I think Newcastle has what it takes to get the better of Ipswich. So for me, I'm gonna call this one 2 goals to 0 for Newcastle. 2 goals to 0 for Newcastle. Then we have West Ham versus Brighton. West Ham, a team that has not performed well all season, and Brighton, one of those teams again, you're not sure which Brighton team you're getting. One thing is certain, however, is that Brighton will give you chances. They will give you goals. The question is, can you take those opportunities? Can you take those chances? West Ham playing at home, definitely in need of results. They need to get their season back on track, or at least try to get as many points as they possibly can before the end of the year. This is a tough game. This is going to be a closely fought game because West Ham need the points. Brentford will give you opportunities, and they are not the most prolific in front of goal as of late. I believe both teams will score, and I feel this game may very well end in a draw. So for me, I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. 2-2 draw, West Ham versus Brighton. Another big game. London Derby, you could say. Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. They met in the Carabao Cup. Crystal Palace hit Arsenal early, but Arsenal rallied and got a positive result. So going off that game, I don't see anything other than an Arsenal win. I feel Arsenal will repeat the feat away from home at Crystal Palace as they did in the Carabao Cup. I'm not sure if Crystal Palace has enough quality in depth to really make changes and really change the way they play in order to get the better of Arsenal. I am not sure about that. I believe Arsenal has more changes, more quality changes on the bench. They did not play their first team and they were still able to get the better of Crystal Palace. And in the league, I believe Arteta will select his best 11. So that being said, I expect Arsenal to get a win over Crystal Palace. It could possibly be somewhat of a similar lineup as it was in the Carabao Cup. I'm gonna go with Arsenal to win 3 goals to 1. 3 goals to 1 to the Arsenal. Then we also have Everton versus Chelsea. Everton at home, masterclass in defending in the last game out versus Arsenal, and they will definitely need another masterclass showpiece in this one to keep out this rampant Chelsea attack. Can they do it again for another week? Ah, Hard to say, hard to say. Chelsea is a different animal in the previous game as well that Everton played. They were playing away to Arsenal. This time around, they are at home, which in one sense should give them more confidence and should give them a little more attacking threat as opposed to it was blocks of defense in that game versus Arsenal. It was like all out defending. This time around versus Chelsea, they should prove to have some sort of threat on the counter. The question is, can they hold this Chelsea attack at bay? And can they nick something at the other end? I am not so sure, in all honesty. I'm not sure they can put up another defensive masterclass a second week in a row. And for that reason, I am going to, plus with the Chelsea incentive of going top of the league as well, they should definitely show their title credential if they can get a win over Everton and put some pressure on Liverpool to further slip up as they have over the last two game weeks. So I'm gonna definitely back Chelsea. The incentive is too much. They are on form. They are a confident bunch. They are scoring goals. Still a few weaknesses there defensively, but I believe they have enough quality in their ranks to get past this Everton rearguard. And if they do so, I don't see Everton having much of a response. So for me, I'm going to go with Chelsea to win this game versus Everton. And I am going to back Chelsea to win this one. 3 goals to nil. I'm going to go with 3-0 win. 3-0 win for Chelsea over Everton. Further on, we have Fulham versus Southampton. Fulham versus Southampton. Magnificent performance from Fulham versus Liverpool in the previous game. Southampton still battling it out down in the relegation zone. This is a different sort of game. Southampton fired their manager as well, so they should be looking to get in a new manager. But in the interim, I am not seeing much of a difference with the Southampton team. I'm not sure they can get the better of Fulham. Fulham should have confidence. They are also playing at home, and I believe Fulham should get the better of Southampton. Everything you can think of that's wrong with a team, you can look at Southampton for that. Not scoring, not defending, really not much transition. Foundation is lacking. It's a tough task. It's a tough task over there at Southampton, and at the same time, you have to be looking to get results. So for me, it's definitely a Fulham win. And playing at home, I believe Fulham can definitely win this game. 2 goals to nil. So for me, Fulham to win, 2 goals to nil. Then we have Leicester versus Wolves. Leicester City versus Wolves. Wolves getting rid of their manager. O'Neill is no more. A bit of infighting within the squad. It's unclear as to which sort of Wolves team will turn up versus Leicester. They got rid of their manager. They now have a new manager in the form of Ruud van Nistelrooy. In his first 3 games, as we mentioned in the preview show last week, he has gotten a win, he has gotten a draw, and he lost the last game to Newcastle, I believe. I believe it was Newcastle they lost to in the league. So it's hard to say what sort of Leicester you'll get, and it's hard to say what sort of Wolves team you will get either. It's hard to say which is the worst of the two teams, in all honesty. On paper, if Wolves can get it right, I think Wolves has a better team on paper, but the problem is they seem not to be getting it right. Uh, it's going to be a tough game, but I believe both teams will score. And I am gonna back Wolves. I'm gonna take a final risk with Wolves. I think with O'Neill out the picture, I think Wolves will play with a little more freedom. And I feel the players will show some character and step up with a positive result in this one. So I'm gonna back Wolves and I'm gonna back Wolves to get a 2-1 win over Leicester. Wolves to win 2-1 versus Leicester. Then the final game on the agenda is Manchester United at home versus Bournemouth. Manchester United versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth, a team which I believe is very much underrated, a team that doesn't get much media hype, a team that doesn't get much media attention, but they are silently pegging away and getting some positive results. When you look at the league table, they don't make much noise, but they are up there battling it out in mid-table. And I think they will give Manchester United a serious run for their money. United, of course, coming off a loss in the Carabao Cup to Spurs. Back at home, back on familiar grounds, coming off a big win versus Man City last time out. They are in front of their home crowd. The new coat smell seem to have rubbed off Amarin, in all honesty, and it's now mano a mano. I don't think Bournemouth will be phased. Uh, my gut instincts, viewers and subscribers, is to back a Bournemouth win. So I'm gonna call the upset in this one, in all honesty. I'm gonna go out on a limb, viewers and subscribers. I am gonna back Bournemouth to get a 2-1 victory over Manchester United. So 2-1 to Bournemouth. As I said, Bournemouth is oftentimes underrated, not taken seriously, underappreciated, and I feel that may work in their favor. United will obviously come out and try to attack that man. Ahmad, he is on farm, he is in red hot farm, but I believe Bournemouth will come to Old Trafford with a plan, with a strategy. They do have some good attacking players. Their defense isn't the worst in the league. They can put up a sound defensive showing. And then at the other end, they definitely have players who can put the ball in the back of the net. Ivan Nelson, the Brazilian. We also have Semenyo, uh, to name a few from that Bournemouth team who are serious attacking threat. We also have Clivert. Earlier in the season, he converted a hat trick of PK in the same game. I believe that was the first time that was happening in the EPL. So this team is really no pushover, and I believe they will give Manchester United a serious test, and I do believe they will get the upset in this one. So for me, I'm backing Bournemouth to get a 2-1 victory over Manchester United. But that's pretty much it, viewers and subscribers. Another exciting week, weekend of EPL football coming up. And it is the final game week before Christmas, viewers and subscribers. The next big game week would be Boxing Day. That's a day right after Christmas, and oftentimes Boxing Day really serves up a feast of matches with loads of goals. So definitely looking forward to that one. But before we get there, this weekend cannot be overlooked, and we definitely have some interesting matches coming up. Games which could possibly throw up a few upsets. But thanks again, viewers and subscribers, for joining us, for continuing to support the podcast. Please continue to share, like, leave your comment. Let me know what is your score prediction. Continue to help us to grow by sharing. And of course, wishing for you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year when it comes. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.